LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Now listen. You've heard the old joke, right? What's the state bird of Florida? I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. In the meantime, there's this guy I know from showbiz who has this very successful estate sale business. He hires other actors to work these big estate sales he puts together on weekends all over town. It's like really fancy garage sales at Beverly Hillbillies mansions. A good friend of mine works his sales, but he also engages her to help put them together beforehand. I guess some rich elderly woman had gone to meet Jesus, and my friend had to go to her mansion and help go through her stuff and get it ready for the upcoming sale. This poor old woman apparently had some very nasty postnasal drip, as every single article of her clothing, every pocket, every purse she owned had Kleenex tucked into every nook and cranny. My friend had to find and pull all those snot rags out before the sale. Recently, I had begun to think of this old woman as I put my own laundry into the washer, and as of late, I too seem to have Kleenex stashed in every pocket. It must be a senior thing, but I guess I've come to that. A year ago at this time, I was plotting my retirement from a day job I'd had for 22 and a half years. Now, all this planning had to take place secretly until I pushed the send button on my exciting news, I'm retiring, email to management. As much as I was certain I'd done all my homework for over 8 months, I have to admit it was all very stressful. I was still working and dealing with the latest round of ridiculous managers who, ironically, didn't even make it another full year, but scared to death that I hadn't planned well enough and would have to yell uncle and go scramble for another day job. The numbers all looked good, but you never know. Couple that with the dark cloud of nonsense and fascism descending over the USA, it was a time of great angst, let me tell you. At some point, I realized that this was not unlike my senior year of high school, but more on that in a second. A friend of mine has a daughter who is in her senior year of high school right now. I've watched this girl grow up and absolutely blossom in the last few years into an extremely talented writer, a track and field star, as well as just being a decent and smart human being. I guess just recently she told her folks that she was suddenly experiencing a fair amount of anxiety right now. The kid is off to college in the fall, and obviously her folks are very worried about this sudden onset of ennui. My friend was sharing this with me, and suddenly I said, wait, oh my God, she's a senior, right? Yes. She wants to leave her little conservative suburban enclave to attend college, right? Yes. I know exactly what she's going through. I flashed back to my own senior year back in Urbandale, Iowa in 1981. I too had blossomed in the last few years of high school, despite feeling like I was living behind enemy lines. In one summer, I'd sprouted from a pudgy kid with a bowl haircut and a yellow leisure suit to 6'1" and sporting glamorous 80s hair. But most of all, the early angst of being a creative kid finding his way despite my surroundings had given way to a full, I am what I am and you can all go pound sand. To make my senior year situation even better, I had done my homework and plotted my eventual escape from Iowa by heading to college in Minneapolis that fall. Everything was set, and my senior year started with back-to-back shows. Harold Hill and the Music Man, Vince Fontaine in Grease. I was on my way, and all that chutzpah only helped my school studies. I got excellent grades and had a bunch of teachers with whom I was close. Well, as close as you can be when you're still in high school. One teacher in particular who I found fascinating was my psychology teacher, Ms. Sheldall. She had a reputation as being a little wacky, and she was tough. She didn't put up with any crap from misbehaving high school students like some other teachers did. My brother had her 8 years later and thought she was awful. Of course, his class was the rogue class of 1989, whose major accomplishments included hoisting poor Mr. Day's lab coat up the flagpole, as well as literally blowing up a locker with an M80. Ms. Sheldall was tall, especially wearing her Candy's high heels, and wore pantsuits that always showed just a hint of cleavage. Her huge red teased hair made her even taller. She was smart, claimed she had worked for the CIA, which I thought was fabulous, and I was like a sponge and took as many of her classes as I could. I was in Ms. Sheldall's sociology class in my final senior semester at Urbandale High School when everything seemed to hit the fan. Suddenly, in the darkness of an Iowa January senior year, I started acting out in my classes, mouthing off. Formerly good grades began to slip. I really couldn't see it, but Ms. Sheldall did. One day in sociology class, I was particularly obnoxious, and Ms. Sheldall said, "Tony Adelman, you will be staying after class." I rolled my eyes and snickered and looked around at my classmates. There was a bit of terror in their eyes because nobody wanted to mess with a 6'2" red-haired woman wearing Candy's high heels, and I was about to get mine. After class, she closed her door, and I belligerently sat at my desk. "What is going on with you, Tony? This is not like you." "I don't know what you're talking about, Ms. Sheldall," my cool veneer starting to crack. In less than 10 minutes, I burst into tears. Sobs, actually. It came pouring out. I didn't mean to be acting the way I was. I was just, afraid, I guess. No, petrified. Even though I had my next year planned, and it was exactly what I wanted, I was afraid it wouldn't work out, that I'd be running back to Iowa with my tail between my legs and trying to get my job back at Merle Hay Mall. Yet, in a weird way, and at the same time, I was afraid of what I was leaving. I had overcome the obstacles, the bullying, the bigotry, and I was finally in a place where I was doing okay. And for some reason, I guess, I was afraid of losing that, like some kind of a wife afraid of leaving her abusive husband. Good Lord, no wonder I was being a jerk. Talk about two dichotomies of fear. Once I admitted it all and got it off my chest, the acting out just stopped. 2 months later, when I graduated, my folks threw a graduation reception for me. My mom put a big bag of Little Smoky's cocktail sausages in the crock pot with barbecue sauce and offered beer, wine, or soda, and friends, family, and teachers dropped by to wish me well. Ms. Sheldall stopped by, had some sausages and a glass of boxed wine. She handed me a note I read after the reception, and I admit it is one of my most cherished possessions. In it, she wrote, "Dear Tony, I wanted to drop you a note of congratulations upon your graduation from high school. I know this has been a long-awaited day, but please forgive my selfish sadness at your departure. You have been and always will be a very special person. I know this has caused you anxiety as you matured. You should view all of this as a learning experience. You are an exceptionally talented individual. Do not allow the confusion that sometimes these abilities produce overtake you. You have a strong, loving heart and a beautiful, sophisticated way about you. You are the kind of young man all the girls fall in love with and men and women marvel at. Being special doesn't always carry with it easy answers to life's questions. Others sometimes don't see with the intelligence and critical perceptions you seem to have. Use these very special abilities to your own advantage. I hope my observations have not produced embarrassment for you. You carry the marks of a successful young man, mature and sophisticated beyond your years and beyond the understanding of Urbandale, Iowa. Go out with a good heart, for you will find the world at your feet. Sincerely, Ms. Sheldall." Wow. Her note absolutely floored me and still does. Yes, it is very gushy, but hell, I'll take it. I'm not proud. She summed up what I'd been going through and sent me off on my way with understanding and such kindness. I told my friend with a senior year daughter this story and said, "I totally get where your daughter's head is at, and trust me, her senior year will get better." I only hope that she has a Ms. Sheldall to give her a little encouragement and a padded shoulder to cry on. I Googled Ms. Sheldall and found that she passed away 4 years ago, but in her obituary, I learned more things about her. In 1981, she had won the U.S. High School Psychology Teacher of the Year award and was known for influencing her students with her philosophy. If it is to be, it is up to me. Though she never preached that to me directly that I recall, through osmosis or just her support, it has been my philosophy for most of my almost 63 years. Last year, before retiring, I had flashbacks to that troublesome senior year, but here I am, almost 1 year later. Okay, 44 weeks to be exact, but who's counting? And I have been fine, more than fine. I've had a lot more creative output. Bill and I have been kicking up our traveling since now I don't have to put in for time off. We were just in Mexico City, and in every single museum, once I showed them my passport and that I was over 60, I guess now a senior, I was admitted for free. Yay! I can hit lunches with friends any day I want. Since I am not on the clock until 5 p.m., I can now hit the early side of happy hours with friends, something I like to call day drinking adjacent happy hours. So, Kleenex in every pocket, be damned. This senior year has been fantastic. Oh, by the way, the answer to that what's the state bird of Florida question? Why, the early bird, of course.
LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Ba 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 bum.